To begin with, do you work or are you currently a student?
I'm actually working at the moment. I hold a position as a marketing analyst for a tech firm, where I've spent the last 3 years honing my skills in digital strategy and data analytics.
What do you enjoy most about your current studies or your job?
I'd say the most rewarding aspect is definitely the intellectual challenge of decoding complex data. There's something incredibly satisfying about translating those raw figures into actionable strategies that drive tangible growth, especially in such a fast-paced and ever-evolving industry.
Do you enjoy learning new skills in your free time?
Absolutely. I find it incredibly rewarding because it keeps my mind sharp. Beyond my professional work with data, acquiring a new hobby provides a genuine sense of personal growth and a truly refreshing cognitive challenge.
What is the most useful skill you have learned recently?
Actually, I'd say mastering Python for data analysis has been incredibly practical. It's allowed me to automate several of my more repetitive tasks at work, which has significantly improved my efficiency and freed up much more time for complex projects.
Describe a difficult challenge you faced while learning something new. You should say what you were trying to learn, why it was difficult, how you overcame the challenge, and explain how you felt after succeeding.
Actually, as I mentioned, mastering Python for data analysis was a significant undertaking for me. I recall that when I first began, the primary hurdle was the complete shift in mindset required. Coming from a background where I primarily relied on traditional spreadsheets, the transition to a programming environment was, quite frankly, a bit of a paradigm shift. I found it incredibly challenging to wrap my head around the logic of loops, functions, and complex data structures. There were countless times when a tiny syntax error, like a misplaced comma or an indentation mistake, would cause my entire script to fail, which was honestly quite frustrating at times. It felt like I was hitting a wall because my brain was still trying to approach problems in a linear, manual way. To overcome this, I realized I needed a more structured approach. I enrolled in a comprehensive online certification and made a conscious effort to practice every single evening. I also started engaging with online developer communities, which was invaluable for seeing how others tackled similar hurdles. Crucially, I began breaking down my larger goals into much smaller, manageable tasks. Instead of trying to build a complex application right away, I focused on mastering one specific function at a time, such as data cleaning or basic visualization. When I finally succeeded in automating a major workflow that used to take me days of manual entry, the sense of accomplishment was immense. It wasn't just about the technical win, it gave me a massive boost in self-confidence. It taught me that with the right strategy and a bit of persistence, any complex skill is ultimately attainable.
How did that experience change your perspective on learning?
It fundamentally shifted my mindset. I now see the struggle not as a barrier, but as a vital component of cognitive growth, making me much more proactive about pursuing complex new skills.
Why do you think some people find it much harder to learn new skills as they get older?
I believe it's a combination of neurological and psychological factors. Biologically, neuroplasticity tends to diminish with age, meaning the brain isn't as nimble at forming new connections. However, the psychological aspect is often more significant. Many people develop deeply ingrained habits and a fixed mindset over decades. When you've spent years mastering a certain way of doing things, it can be incredibly daunting to become a beginner again and face the vulnerability of making mistakes.
Do you believe that online learning platforms are as effective as traditional classroom environments?
That's a really nuanced question. I'd say it depends largely on the subject matter and the individual's learning style. Online platforms offer unparalleled flexibility and a vast breadth of resources, which is fantastic for self-motivated learners seeking specific technical skills. That said, traditional classrooms provide a level of interpersonal dynamic and immediate face-to-face feedback that digital environments often struggle to replicate. Ultimately, while online learning is highly efficient for information gathering, the classroom remains superior for collaborative, socially driven development.
How important is it for individuals to continue their education after they have finished university?
I'd argue it's absolutely fundamental in our current era. Because the global economy is evolving so rapidly, the skills one acquires during their undergraduate years can become somewhat obsolete within a few years. Consequently, continuous professional development or upskilling is no longer just an option but a necessity for career longevity. Moreover, on a personal level, lifelong learning fosters intellectual curiosity and helps individuals adapt to technological shifts, ensuring they remain relevant in an increasingly complex world.
What role should governments play in providing free education for adults in the workplace?
I believe governments should play a proactive role by subsidizing adult education, as it serves as a cornerstone for national economic stability. By offering free vocational training and digital literacy programs, the state ensures that the workforce remains agile and capable of navigating rapid technological shifts. It's not merely a social service but a strategic investment. If a government can effectively minimize the skills gap, it fosters a more resilient economy, ultimately benefiting both individual employability and the country's long-term competitiveness.
In what ways has the methodology of learning changed compared to your parents' generation?
I'd say there's been a massive pedagogical shift from a teacher-led, classroom-bound model to a much more decentralized and student-centric approach. My parents' generation largely relied on rote memorization and physical textbooks. In contrast, today's learning is defined by the democratization of information. With digital platforms, education is now highly interactive, asynchronous, and often tailored to individual needs, allowing for a much more personalized and efficient acquisition of skills rather than a strictly linear progression. It's really about learning on demand.